Hello, welcome along to another episode of Man in the Mirror. It's Hayden Williams here, and this is your weekly fix of male skincare, grooming, and fragrance. And each week I talk to a male guest about some of the key items in their bathroom cabinet and their regimes. This week I'm talking to Gregor Jaspers, the founder of The Grey, which is a Dutch skincare brand, premium skincare brand. I don't know if you've seen it online or in store, but beautiful sort of black and white, very clean aesthetic, and products that are superb and work really, really well. I had a really good conversation with Gregor. Fascinating to hear him talk about the brand and how it came to life and where he's got to in the 8 years since he started developing it. So here we go. This is Gregor Jaspers, founder of The Grey, on Man in the Mirror. Welcome along to another edition of Man in the Mirror, and this week I'm delighted to let you know I've been joined by Gregor Jaspers from The Grey. He's the founder of The Grey. It's a Dutch men's skincare brand that's making real waves all around the world. Hi Gregor, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Really lovely.
It's absolutely my pleasure, and it's so great to have a skincare brand on. I think some of the people I've met and talked to on Man in the Mirror, we've had retailers and perfumers and brand owners, and skincare is a big part of it, and not least because it's an area that I know. It sounds strange, but I know the least about, and I'm really keen to learn more. And I suspect also that for this audience, there's an education piece to do around, finding out about a good regime to sort of work into their lives. And it's only really in recent years that I've learned the good gospel of SPF and all these things, and just trying to make it part of my daily routine. And I think, in talking about key items in the bathroom shelf, it's a format to get recommendations from people of what works for them, how they build things into their routine, and to recommend products that they really like. And it's been fascinating, and people have come up with all sorts of great products that they might take away in their sort of travel toilet bag, if you like. But I think first of all, it'd just be really great to find out a bit more about you and what led you to starting a men's skincare brand? How did that come about?
Well, that's of course the question.
The $1 million question.
No, not a $1 million question. It's just everybody wants to know that. And so I'm not from the skincare industry. At least I wasn't. Now I am.
Right.
But I used to be a buyer for a fashion department store in the Netherlands. And as a buyer, you travel a lot. You travel from the 52 weeks a year. I think I was traveling 45. So I was living in hotel rooms and living out of my wash bag.
And were you buying menswear, Gregor?
I was buying everything. So it's you can compare the department store with Liberty's.
Oh,
size-wise.
wow.
And I was doing men's, women's, children's, skincare, perfume, shoes, panties, everything.
Yeah.
So I was buying directly there, and it was a great job. It was next to what I'm doing now, maybe the best job I ever had. But it was a lonely job because you were traveling, so much.
Yeah.
And I have a fascination for fragrances and for skincare. Because my mother is from the industry. She used to work for Guerlain, so the French brand.
Oh, wow.
As a small boy, me and my brother, we were raised with beautiful products. So when I had my first breakout, there is still we had like
there was products there.
Yeah, so it was handed over by my mother.
And there's a lot to be said about when those things are around you in the house and don't feel strange and it's kind of in your world. That makes a difference, doesn't it? It's just things you see as you're younger.
But I remember, and maybe that's my most important experience with skincare is my mother was on a Saturday morning, and my mother went out. I think she went to my grandmother. As a Saturday, she goes to her mother.
Yeah.
So I was left alone, and I went into the bathroom and I opened her cupboard, and there was this new mask from a Japanese brand called Anayaka. I remember so clearly. And I think I was like 10 or 12 maybe. And it was this foaming mask. And when you put it on, it foamed even more and it heated up. So it was a warming mask. And I was like so excited. But I didn't dare to tell that I used it. So I put it back in the cupboard. And but you know, the seed was planted there by my mother. And I was the buyer of the department store, and I was in Milan for, I think it was Pitti Uomo at the time, and I was sitting in my hotel room, and the door of the bathroom was open, and I saw my wash bag, and it was cluttered with products, so much, and it was from La Mer, Dior, Dr. Sebag, everything was in there. So it was like a mixture of women's products, men's products, doctors, pharmacists products, everything was in there. And I thought, it's too much what I'm carrying along with me. And it's yellow, gold, blue, pink, big jars of only 3 ml eye creams. It should be easier. It should be more convenient.
Yeah.
So I went out and I bought everything from Clinique men's collection.
Yeah.
The gray packaging. Yeah. Because I thought, well, it's nice and it's easy and understandable and it's affordable, it's convenient. And I went back into my hotel room, unpacked everything, and I started using it for like 3 days, and it was so disappointing in active ingredients because at the time, I think that this is like 11 years ago, and a lot has changed. But at that time, men's products were just creams with almost no active ingredients inside. And I was used to use all those beautiful ingredients from women's products. So I was really disappointed. And I went back to using my old products. But that thing kept singing around in my mind. And then the moment came that the department store shamefully had to close down. And I was unemployed.
Right.
And I said, okay, let's do the one thing that will really, really make me happy, and it's create this beautiful brand for men. And that's how the idea started. And that was 8 years ago. Took me 4 years of development before we launched the product. We launched with 4 skincare products and 1 product of supplements. And so we're now 4 years on the market, which is quite still new and young.
Yeah, but it's such a brilliant, inspiring story where, you know, it kind of sounds quite straightforward in that, you know, you saw a problem and you thought, you know, you could see a solution, but actually that piece of, I'm going to do it myself and I'm going to create this range. That's you know, there in the gap is a hell of a lot of hard work and someone that clearly, you know, knows. I wouldn't have the first clue of who to talk to and, you know, talk about which labs. And so what a fantastic voyage of discovery to bring that to life. And like you say, here you are now and it's distributed all over the world. And that's, it's very inspiring.
At the time, it's not true that there was nothing out there for men. Yeah. Only nothing out there that appealed to me. So there was Clinique and there was Men's Science and but nothing appealed to me that I wanted to buy it as part of my lifestyle I was in. I love beautiful things. I love active ingredients. I love products who sit nicely on the shelf because that's how I arrange my life. Yeah. And there was nothing there. So that was the idea. But then, you know, I said to myself, let's make it. And then what? I had no clue where to start and what to do and how things work. So that's why it took me 4 years to finalize everything. And I was so lucky to work with the best, and they're still our lab in the Netherlands. It's a medical lab.
Right.
So they have a very high standard in production. And at that time, the managing director said, well, we love the idea. I'm going to give you our 2 best developers and just speak to them and say what you want, and they will create it for you. And that's how, in the beginning, it started. And now when I have a new idea, it's a whole different thing. I speak to them. I say, okay, well, we're going to make this. It's going to have this percentage of this ingredient and that percentage of that ingredient. So you learn in 8 years, you learn a lot.
But also, I guess you're acting on, there's the practical steps of bringing it to life, which is one part of it, but also the sort of bravery of, this is something that I would like, it was a product that you wanted to see on the market, but did you have to do lots of consumer testing, or was it all hunch that you thought other people shared this, saw this gap and it's something that men would want? Did you have to do tons of research, or was it much more kind of intuition?
No, it was this intuition, this gut feeling that, and so I wasn't new to the market because I was a big consumer.
Yeah.
And when you look to the Dutch market, we have our department stores and we have some really beautiful retailers we work with now. But when I was a client at a retailer, there was nothing I could buy for men. I could buy beautiful products which were marketed as women's products, because that's the thing. But there was nothing made, created, or marketed for me. And when I did my research, there were some unisex-ish brands. Yeah. Nothing communicated with the male consumer as I wanted to communicate. So that was the marketing research I did. But it was a big gut feeling step. I took, definitely. Which is, I think, the most important thing. Listen to your gut, and then just be honest with yourself.
And amazing when those gut instincts pay off and you find out that there is other people who share. So thank goodness. And also I should point out, because, this is an audio medium rather than particularly visual, although maybe I should fix that in future. But I should say about the grey products, there's a really sort of clean, minimal, monochrome aesthetic to it. I've got a few of the items here, including a face serum and a charcoal face wash. But a beautiful minimalism. And I assume, Gregor, that's very deliberate and something that appeals to you very much.
Yes. It appeals to me, but it's also part of the brand identity. So when you look at our social media, everything is black and white with sometimes a touch of color. We use a very minimalistic product design, but our boxes are, the paper is beautiful. We spend a lot of time researching the quality of the paper, the printing. We have a foil print, but the foil is matte, so it doesn't shine. So it's again understated because, again, at the time and still, if you buy into a men's product range, it looks like you have like a jar of Jack Daniels on your counter, because that's how, in a way, brands think that's how men's products should look, or it's orange or it's blue. Yeah. And you have this great bathroom, and there is this ugly yellow blue bottle on it, which I don't like. And if you like it,
fair play.
It's okay. But for me, everything had to connect with each other. And I remember that I had my first pitch with a retailer, and he said, "Well, we sell men's product, or we sell men's, or we sell products that are available for men." I said, "Well, let me explain you this." So this young couple comes in. She's all fancy dressed up in beautiful brands, and the guy is same. He's wearing his Balenciaga sneakers and his Dries Van Noten sweater, and he asked for a face cream he can use. The only thing you can present him is a gray and orange box with a mediocre product. Well, I think if you want to really catch the consumer, you have to have a uniquely designed formulation which actually works, in combination with a product he wants to buy and he wants to be proud of, and he wants to place it on his washing sink and everything. So that's the combination. Everything we do, our tone of voice, the shoot we have, so our campaign shoot, the products, how we design them, in combination with the formulation, they intertwine into, in my opinion, one of the better products on the market.
Yeah. And I think that combination of sort of efficacy and a product that, is going to be more expensive than some of your kind of chemist products, but that you feel is worthwhile because of the packaging and the look, that definitely works. And I can attest to how well the face wash and the serums. What I really liked, I know I've only tested them quite recently, Gregor, but I really like how the products absorb really quickly. I'm not left with a sort of greasy film or feeling like I've got to do too much work.
Yeah.
Yet I feel that things are happening, and the charcoal face wash I'm particularly enjoying building into my routine. Really good, and a nice sort of a dark wash that feels like it's pulling things out, but and not too perfumed either. They don't feel like they're over scented, which I really like.
So a few things. So for us, formulation. So having a face cream or a overnight mask, for instance, they have to work. So they have to improve your skin. So we don't talk about grooming. We talk about skincare.
Mm-hmm.
So when people talk to me and say, "Oh, you've got this great grooming brand," so no, we are a skincare brand, and our main goal is to improve skin quality. That's why we have the formulations as we have them. And for instance, our 3-in-1 face cream, which is our bestseller, but it's also like the iconic product, because that is exactly, I was telling you about the wash bag I had in my hotel room.
Yes.
I went to the lab and I said, well, this is what I use. Can you put all those products? So the La Mer and the Dior and the Chanel and the Dr. Sebag, can you put it in just one single use product? So for day cream, night cream, and eye cream. And that's what we did. So everything I was using, all the different ingredients I liked in the product, we put them in one product, making it easy and effortless
to take around with you.
And to take around with you when you travel. So you don't have to take along 5 different jars of product with you.
Yeah.
It's about convenience. It's about high quality formulations. And then it's also about the fact that we communicate with the target group that we want to be part of their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And lifestyle is important. Because that makes it takes away the gap of guys not feeling comfortable buying into skincare.
Yeah. And it's really interesting. And I have to say, I hadn't really thought about the terminology before. And I'm certainly guilty of bandying around terms like, grooming and skincare kind of interchangeably. But it's really interesting that you sort of focused in on skincare rather than grooming. And I don't know whether somehow saying grooming feels, like it's, I don't know. Are men sort of, is there some issue with me talking about skincare? I don't really think so. But I have to say, it's interesting to talk about the difference between those two words, and I hadn't thought about it before. I like it.
It's actually the reason why we did not launch a shaving cream in our first launching moment. Because shaving cream is, I think it's the most important product in a grooming range. Or grooming collection. So I said to myself, let's not do that, because I don't want to go into the barber shops and or go into the shelving in a department store next to all those hair brands and
waxes and all that stuff. Yeah,
because that's the usual suspect where I would have been put into. I want to sit next to the independent women's collections, and then as a men's brand. That's also where where we have the competition. And there are amazing grooming brands. Well, I want to compete with the women's skincare brands.
Yeah. And you seem very single-minded, and it seems like you had a real focus on where you needed to be. And and again, talking about the aesthetics of things, it's a real bugbear of mine. It just feels kind of lazy sometimes, with a lot of the more grooming brands, but certainly here in the UK, they quite often fall into this kind of Victorian gent, and the graphics are generally a guy with a sort of big handlebar moustache, and it's all meant to look like Victoriana and 200 years ago, and the barbershop pole and all that stuff, and you can see why, but it doesn't. I don't know. I just find that when brands come out, when the big brands, they jump in on this. In this kind of sector, and they start doing stuff with a sort of barber's chair and big handlebar stuff, just feels kind of, I feel like we've done that now, I think that, and it's really interesting to hear you talk about, there's a real sort of purpose and there's a real thought behind, and it feels like we're going on about design too much, but it means a lot that the simplicity is deliberate, that you're kind of, it looks like a classy item on the shelf, but almost you're not kind of putting, too many ideas in people's head yourself. The kind of cleanness and the monochrome characteristics, they don't say they kind of say a lot, but not very much, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. But you just said you're talking about aesthetics too much. The way men's skincare works is that, so let's say there's 100% of product in the market, 80% is made for women.
Yeah.
And then 20% is made for men. Men who love to use skincare, they also buy into women's products. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But then there is this part of the guys who use nothing, and they don't buy into women's product because it's made for women.
Yeah.
Communication is all pinkish, bluish, soft, roses, smell and everything. So communication, so the numbers show that when a brand is marketed for men, if it's the same brand, that's where when the guy feels confident enough to enter and to use it. So for us, it was very important to, as a small brand, we can't compete with the big brands out there. So we had to find our niche, and our niche was the guy who loves a certain kind of aesthetics, and is open to use skincare, is open to use beautiful perfume brands, is open to experiment in fashion brands, but needs to have that small push over the edge to start using. And so our marketing team and me, well, in the beginning it was only me, and now we have a marketing team. We said, well, we don't look at different cosmetics brands. We look at fashion brands for our communication. We look at art brands, at furniture brands, how they communicate, because that's also part of the lifestyle we have. And then we just add in skincare. Yeah. Because when you add it in, instead of making it so important, no, it's not that important. It's part of your life.
Yeah. No, I think, and it's a kind of very clever stealth way of trying to introduce it to some people that should. There shouldn't be this barrier, as you say, but why not bring those people in and make it as easy as possible?
I don't know why the barrier is still there.
No, you're right.
We say we're so open to everything, but we're not. No, that's a shame.
But it's great that there's, and as I've heard already, then there's a lot of thought gone into making it as easy and as accessible as possible. Albeit at a premium product, but there's it's certainly something that many men could build into their regimes. So speaking of regimes and your regime, and you've already talked a bit about this, the toilet, the amount of traveling that you did, and the toilet bag that you carry around with all these products. So if we can kind of fast forward to now, and I've no doubt, I'd be surprised if it was anything else, but I've no doubt there's plenty of the grey products in there. But can you talk a bit about your routine now? And I guess we should start with skincare and what works for you and what you do in the morning and the evening.
I would like to say that my wash bag has decluttered, but it hasn't.
You've still got lots in there. You've added more things now.
Yeah, because being in this industry, having your own brand, of course, like the majority is my own brand. But then there are always new things on the market I want to try. There are things I don't have in my in our collection yet. So there's part research, there's part product I just want to use. But the majority, luckily, is still of the grey itself. Yeah. So a regime, and that's the only thing I always say. A regime is a regime when you can keep it. Yeah. Don't go overboard on 5, 6, 7, 8 products. Now we have. I'm not going to. Now you have those big brands. They sell single ingredient products. So you have a niacinamide serum or a hyaluronic acid serum or retinol serum. If you go that way, you will end up using 8, 9, 10, 11 different products. Yeah. you have to be a fanatic to maintain that regime and routine.
Yeah.
So
and you need a massive toilet bag for all of that.
Yeah, and you need to have knowledge also, because you cannot mix this. You don't use retinol in the morning. And so in the end, you're not saving money because the single products are cheaper, but in the end, you need more different products. So for me, a regime is one you can keep.
Yeah.
And drops down to 3 products. It's a face wash, a cleanser, which can be any kind depending on your skin. So I use our charcoal face wash in the morning and the evening, as it is my hero product. Then I don't use the 3-in-1 face cream, which is our bestseller and iconic product. I don't use it. I use our Comfort Plus,
right,
which is a cream we launched 3 years ago. And I have a dry, sensitive, difficult skin.
Do you?
And I do, yeah. And our 3-in-1 is so active in ingredients that I can use it. But sometimes when I have, like, when the season changes and your skin gets more open for irritations and dryness, I need to use a different cream, and I use the Comfort Plus face cream, which is my go-to cream, and I can advise it to any person who has any difficulty with skin. If it's dryness or even eczema or psoriasis, this is a game changer. So that's what I use. So I have a face wash, a face cream, and then always an SPF every day in winter. And those 3 products will save your skin.
See, it sounds simple. That's as simple as that, right? That's not a big, difficult regime to build into. What's that, 5 minutes? If that?
Well, then I wash my face in the shower in the morning. Then I put on my face cream, and afterwards my SPF, and that's it. So it's not even 5 minutes.
Yeah,
easy. Yeah, and that's actually everything you need. And then when you love using skincare, and when you are open in experimenting, or on the other hand, if you have such difficult skin, you need extra attention, you can build and grow with your routine. But this is the basis.
It's the basis of it. And what about your shaving regime, Gregor? I noticed as I can see Gregor on screen, there's a little bit of stubble. You shave every few days, or are you a wet shave guy? Or?
Every other day, every other second day. So yesterday evening I shaved myself. So and this is like, but I don't shave. I don't close shave. I don't use a razor. I use a beard trimmer always.
Right.
So this is my shortest, and then I grow into approximately your length, which I can see. But to be honest, because I'm getting a grayer beard, I like to keep it short. Keeps me younger. So I trim. So
and with your hair on your sort of beard hair, do you, and being someone that has, as you say, more sensitive skin, do you apply anything after you've used your trimmer? Do you have to put any beard moisturizer or anything like that? Or?
Yeah, because of beard moisturizer, I get breakouts from beard moisturizer.
Okay.
So I use the Comfort Plus,
right,
and I use it as on my neck, on my face, under the eyes, and that's how I designed it, and I intended to be used. I don't use any beard moisturizers, and to be honest, I would not advise for people with my length of beard. I would not advise any beard moisturizer. When you have a longer beard, yes, because you're really trying to nourish the skin underneath the beard and the beard itself. But with this length, like a 2-day stubble,
there's not too much hair, is there? It's kind of you're going to get more skin. And how about your hair? Do you put product in your hair?
Oh, yeah. I wash every other day with our shampoo, which we just recently launched, and which is a great shampoo, because a shampoo can also be approached as skincare, as we talk about scalp care. And having a healthy scalp will improve hair quality. So I wash every other day, and then I use just a wax. Now it's short. This is very short for me. because I got tired of my long hair and too much work. Even I'm lazy with that. No, as you grow older, the structure of your hair changes. And when I was younger, I could have amazing longer hair, but now it's just not as nice as I like it. So I go back to
keep it short.
So it's just washing and then some waxing. But I do have a weekly routine where I scrub the scalp.
Oh, do you?
Which is very. It's great for the hair, for the scalp, but it's also kind of a relaxing moment for me.
Self-care thing.
It's longer period self-care so usually on a Wednesday evening, it's my private evening and I pamper myself.
Wednesday night is self-care night. Yeah. Love it.
All my friends know that, so they don't call.
Don't come knocking on Wednesday night. It's self-care evening. And one thing I really like to talk to guests about on Man in the Mirror, kind of as the name suggests, is your relationship with your appearance. And I suppose one of the perils or joys, depending on how you look at it, of your professional life and the fact that you're dealing with your face and other people's faces. I mean, you're probably having to, I don't know if you're having to look at yourself more or less than anybody else. But point being, when you look in the mirror now, how do you feel about your appearance? Are you someone that's content with the person that stares back, or do you ever think there was a point in my life where I thought I looked, the best, and it's not that now? Some people sort of hark back to youth, or I don't know. I'm interested in people's relationship with their appearance and whether they feel like they would want to do anything to it. So how do you feel about yours, Gregor?
So being in skincare has made me obsessively aware of my appearance.
I thought it might. I mean,
and it's a problem. It's not a problem, but it is something constantly on your mind, because when you meet people and you say you have a skincare company or skincare brand, the first thing they do is they look at your skin.
Of course, I hadn't thought of that. Of course, somebody just stare at you like.
Okay, and then they ask, so how old are you? And then you say how old you are, and then say, oh, that's okay. I can see you have a skincare brand, or depending on the day I have.
Because you're 65 actually, and you're looking amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And there's one example of a skincare brand and his owner. You have Dr. Brandt, the brand called Dr. Brandt, and Dr. Brandt himself went overboard in cosmetical surgery.
Oh, did he?
And became a kind of character that was ridiculed in the skincare.
It's not what you want, is it?
And even on television, he was ridiculed, and he committed suicide.
Oh, God.
And this story, I knew about this story, but I never Googled Dr. Brandt himself. And when you Google him, this was my worst nightmare, that I would lose myself because there was so much pressure. And then I would do Botox and fillers and everything. And it would look like him.
Oh, goodness.
Getting back to your question, when I look in the mirror, I'm critical on skin quality. And you have your good days and your bad days.
So that's taking a kind of professional interest, I suppose.
Yeah. But then when I see the person I look at in the mirror, I feel proud and I'm happy what I see of what I have become, because this is what 8 years ago I had this idea, and no idea if I would be able to create this, and so far I have succeeded. So that's also what I see. So I see somebody who's getting older. I don't mind getting older, of course. Remembering when you're 20, 25, 30, but also knowing that when you were 30, you said, when I was 25, I was so handsome. And also when I was 40, I said, when I was 30, I was so good looking, I was so in shape. So I know that now, when I'm saying this, when I'm 50, and 55.
Yeah.
I look back at being my age now and being happy. So I'm trying to let those things go.
And be content
about aging, because I don't mind aging. I do want to age gracefully, if that's the way. So I don't do any Botox. I don't do any fillers, because I feel it changes the face too much when you go overboard. And I know I will go overboard once I start, so I don't do that. And if you do, and you have a great physician and a great doctor who does it, bless you.
Great.
Let me know. But I do take care of my skin in an excessive way for that to remain not young but fresh.
And I like the way you framed it there, where of course there's the sort of technical professional side to it, but also acknowledging that that there's a lot about when we see ourselves in the mirror, whether we're critical or kind to ourselves, but we should be looking at the person we've become and the things that have happened along the way and the dreams that have been fulfilled or whatever. So it's really great to hear that you're proud, as you should be, of the person that you're looking at. Finally, Gregor, if I could ask you about what makes you happy and what brings you joy, and it could be, I tend to say this because it feels like a big question, whether that's something, it could be as trivial as your favorite chocolate bar or as big as, spending time with loved ones. I don't know, but almost a kind of instinctive answer about the things that make you happy. What might that be?
Friends. It's my friends.
There you go. Yeah. Are you a sociable would you say you're a sociable person? Are you kind of party guy that wants to be out there, or are you talking about friends for dinner? Or
I'm the guy who cooks dinner for 20 friends and
right,
not realizing. So I spent summer in Paris.
Yes,
so I was 3 months away. Amazing apartment with my boyfriend. We had a great time. I didn't miss Rotterdam, where we live, but then I realized I was missing my friends so much. And even that every weekend we had somebody coming over. The moment we came back, I cried because all my friends were there and all our friends were here and in the house. And I realized that this is what makes me tick, my friends. Being there for them, be entertaining, listening, crying with them, laughing with them, spending a holiday. For me, that is, I realize now after Paris that is the most important thing for me.
And it's, it was said many times, I know, during the pandemic and these things that were taken away from us, those human connections and gathering with friends over dinner or going out. It's when it's removed from your life, it's amazing what a huge vacuum it leaves, isn't it? And I think obviously everyone's different, but people who thrive on communication and friendship and connection, it's very difficult when those things aren't there, and a complete joy when they are. I totally understand.
Definitely. That. And for us, the pandemic wasn't that difficult because we have a huge office, and when our government said, okay, you can't go to work, our friends came to our office and we were together, and we sneaked out and we did some not illegal but also not 100% legal stuff, but we were together as friends. And then being in Paris without them was for me the first time that I realized that they were not close. And we had some relatives passing away from our friends and we couldn't go there because of the distance. And then you realize what's important to you.
And are you a keen cook then? Are you someone? Do you actually cook yourself when friends come around, or do you get someone to do it?
I'm the cook I'm the guy who takes a new cookbook and then just pins out a page, and that's what we're going to make. And even if it's for 20 people and it's my first time, I'll do that. And Christmas, I'm the one who cooks during Christmas for my family and my in-laws and the friends. And I love to cook because it's still so meditation for me.
you can kind of switch off and disconnect from
cutting vegetables and that kind of stuff is like meditation. And so that's one of my hobbies. Where I can find my peace.
And actually, I suppose, the way you've described how you went about your setting up your business and that drive, and it's probably no surprise to hear, you could totally get a cookbook and apply yourself and make it work. So fantastic. Oh, Gregor, thank you so much. It's been honestly a real pleasure to spend some time, and I hope people felt the same as they listened. And what I'll do is I'll list in the show notes some of the products that you talked about and how people can find out more about the grey. I know people listen around the world, which is amazing, to the podcast, but here in where I am in the UK, I think the grey is available on Farfetch and the Grooming Clinic and Mr. Porter, I think places like that. Yeah. And obviously on the Grey website. So I shall put some details of that. But thank you for spending some time with me.
Thank you for having me.
Telling such a fascinating story and such an inspiring story about the brand. And I urge people to check it out. Give the Grey a try and build it into your routine, and you won't regret it. And in terms of skincare that works and is no nonsense and looks good, then you won't go far wrong. So, Gregor, thank you for your time, and
you're welcome.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you again soon.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. It was so great to talk to Gregor, and I hope you agree, a really interesting guy, and making some real strides and doing something quite different with men's skincare. And I'd certainly learned so much, and it was really interesting to hear about that journey and that evolution of how it came to be. And as I kind of said during our chat, that all very well to say you identify a gap in the market and you're going to do something like that, but to actually get up and do it and to make such a success of it is certainly inspiring to me anyway. If you want to find out more about the Grey, and I think you should, you can find them on Instagram at The Grey Men's Skincare, and Grey is Grey. So it's The Grey Men's Skincare on Instagram. The same on the website. It's thegreymensskincare.com. So www.thegreymensskincare.com, and you can look at the range and certainly shop on there. And I'm sure you can find out the stockists in your territory as well. Fantastic line and well worth checking out. If you want to follow me, and please do, Man in the Mirror podcast is available on Instagram to follow at Man in the Mirror Pod. That's Man in the Mirror Pod on Instagram. And if you would be so kind as to give me a follow or put a review up on what you think of the podcast, that would be amazing as well. Thank you to Gregor. Thank you to you for listening, and I'll see you next time on Man in the Mirror. Take care.